Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together live on Facebook at 10:30 in the morning every single day of the week, where we exchange headlines, stories, ideas, tips, suggestions, and comments to make our lives here in Puerto Vallarta better as an English-speaking community. It's always a pleasure to be here exchanging tidbits of information with dear friends, old and new, young and old. And if you're new to these broadcasts, my name is Paco. We'd love to find out that you're new. So if you can write the word new in your comments or suggestions, we'll be so happy to give you a proper welcome. And also, if you have any specific comments that you would like to share with everybody during the show, please add the letter Q to make sure that we don't miss them. And if we happen to miss them, then we will be so very happy to get to them right after the broadcast is over. Lots of great friends here online this morning. I very much laughed in a good way at Mike's comment, almost on my way to Vallarta. That makes me think that whenever I find myself almost on my way to anywhere, I'm usually standing in the bathroom doing number one because I don't want to be in the process of getting somewhere and having to go to the bathroom, but that's just me. It's great to see you all, and it's great to see people from all over the place. Kathy in Oakland, Raymond here in town. Jack is new from Olympia, Washington. Jack, thank you very much for joining us here at Coffee and Headlines. We get together, we first talk about some formal important news, and then we just exchange some leisurely ideas just to keep us laughing and in a good mood. Hopefully you will enjoy yourself. John says lots of rain last night. Indeed, another great rainstorm last night here in Puerto Vallarta. I hope nobody ended up with any kind of rain-related damage, and we are going to certainly send some of that rain off to places in the world where it is much needed. Look at it. Look at this. All these wonderful, great good morning wishes. And let me tell you that today for the news, we're going to follow up on a couple of stories from yesterday that left me a little bit concerned about whether we had enough information about them or not. And I wanted to address some of your questions. We look at what's going on with tourism. And we also take a final look at Natalia Lafourcade. I hope you had a chance to listen to the music that I shared with you yesterday, because today I'm going to share one final tidbit about Natalia. We can put her to rest for a few days or weeks, but it's also related to some great news about a new series in Netflix, on Netflix, on prepositions. I tell you, they're difficult to manage. Joe asks, do I know how many followers I have on Coffee and Headlines? Just curious. I do and I don't. I do because I check about once a week, and I don't because I haven't checked in a few days. But I can tell you that the numbers have been very, very wonderful, and I will be sharing them at the end of the month, because at the end of this month, we will have been broadcasting every day for 6 months, and I only missed one day. But it's been a really, really wonderful project. I've been very, very grateful to get to know you better and to be a part of this wonderful community that you're building, and hoping that we can continue to influence our surroundings in a positive way and have a better life in doing so. So let's see. Oh gosh, not Michael likes Natalia. Yay! I'm glad to hear that. She is just an amazing performer. Anyhow, oh my goodness, Susan says that we have 3,087 followers. Well, there are the followers, and there are there are the people that follow. There are the people that like the page, and there are the people that have become contributors. And those three figures, I will be happy to share as we get closer to the end of the month, when we stop celebrating Mexican Independence Month and we start celebrating Coffee and Headlines. We start celebrating each and every one of you because you're all valuable members of this community. But enough of that. Let us dive into the news and see what's going on in the world and how it's going to affect us as we begin our weekend. For starters, there was a specific question yesterday about the highway that we couldn't answer because we didn't have any information. The question having to do with whether the highway was reopened or not. Just as we ended the broadcast yesterday, I came across this news item that says that, and this was dated September 17th. So this is from yesterday, saying that they are opening and closing the highway intermittently every 30 minutes so that they have a chance to clean a little bit and get rid of the boulders a little bit. And I am, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, we are talking about the highway from Puerto Vallarta to Guadalajara. Apparently, there was a really bad landslide in what we call las curvas, the curved section before we get into the 4-lane highway. So the authorities are asking for people to have extreme precaution if you're headed in that direction. And then this morning, I saw another headline showing one of these ginormous boulders. And this is also dated of yesterday. So we don't know exactly whether this is a new boulder. I don't think this is obviously as a result of this morning's rains because this happened yesterday. But again, what we get from these news items is that there is inevitable natural landslides that are taking place in the highway. So number one, if you're going to drive through the highway, you want to be very, very careful as you do so. And number two, you can expect delays. So hopefully, if you have any traveling going from here to Guadalajara by car, maybe you can drive through the mountain. Of course, there are landslides there as well. So this is a troubling situation all around. Yesterday, we also talked about the cruise lines, whether they were coming back or not. We have definitive, quote unquote, information from Mexico saying that cruise lines will be resuming. I should make a comment about this photograph. This photograph looks like the cruise ship is tilted or about to fall. And this looks this way because whoever is doing the graphic design for Vallarta Opinia did not take the extra 20 seconds it would have taken to take the photograph and just tilt it ever so slightly so that the boat doesn't look like it's falling down. But this is yet another news item that says that cruise ships will arrive or will come back in 60 days. And this includes Norwegian Cruise Line and Carnival Cruise Line. I bring this up again because yesterday somebody commented that Carnival had announced that they are closing down their operations. And I went ahead and I asked, well, where did you get that headline? And the person that reported it said that it was mentioned in Good Morning America. So I went looking for headlines to that effect. And indeed, I found this headline that says that Carnival Cruise Ships cancels trips into spring 2021 and sells 8 of its ships. However, in looking at the Carnival website, indeed, it seems as though they do have some cruise trips announced through the Mexican Pacific Riviera, which includes stops in Puerto Vallarta, of course. And if you look at the dates, there are some dates scheduled for this winter period. So again, is the cruise line industry coming back, yes or no? Well, I would think it is, but I would think it's not going to be as glamorous or as frequent as it was in past years. Let me see. No important questions coming up. So let me continue with the news. And continuing with the news, I see that the local tourism bureau continues creating all these campaigns in which they are encouraging people to return to Jalisco and to Puerto Vallarta. There's a new campaign called Jalisco No Te Rajes. The phrase No Te Rajes is a very common Mexican phrase. It essentially means don't wimp out, don't change your mind. So Jalisco No Te Rajes is this new campaign in which they're trying to encourage people to take a vacation in our state. The Tourism Bureau has announced a new website that starting on this coming week will list special perks and promotions that are going to be offered to entice people to visit our city. I would imagine that most of these perks will have something to do with tourists. However, I did see that the news item mentioned that some of it will have to do with tours and activities, etc., etc. So even if we are locals, we might be able to enjoy some of these specific tours and activities as well. So we will bookmark this website address. I'll share it with the show notes, and then we'll take a look at it again at the beginning of next week just to see if there's something there for us. I'm hoping that it'll be published in both English and Spanish. We'll wait to see about that. So it's good to see that tourism is doing its thing to help us get better and better as time goes by. However, it is also sobering to read that the agency Moody's, the full name is Moody's Investor Services, has announced that the tourism sector in Mexico will not reach the levels that it had prior to the pandemic until 2023. So it is going to be a long and steady climb back to the kind of economic well-being we used to have. Of course, it's difficult to imagine this in real time, but what I get from it and what we should get from it is that it's not going to be overnight that things are going to go back to normal as far as this is concerned. This one really pissed me off, and I think it would piss you off too. Apparently, there were a bunch of locals that wanted to go to the beach in Nuevo Vallarta this past Wednesday, which was a day off for many people. And it turned out that the beaches, which are supposed to be closed to begin with, were actually open to tourists that were staying at the beachfront hotels. But if you wanted to be able to enjoy the beach as just a regular local, there were stops preventing people from accessing the beach, and that would have definitely pissed me off a little bit. And again, it's yet to be seen that the state of Nayarit normalizes beach access, and we'll hope that this will happen at some point in the near future. Did I miss a button on my shirt? Thank you very much, Michael. I don't know that I missed a button of my shirt. It's just that it's Friday. But here, just to make you happy, and because I haven't gotten in touch with you because we agreed we would... No, I can't do that, Michael. Let me get in touch with you today, Michael, so that we can have a further discussion on my shirt, and we can talk about other wonderful things that we can do. Let's see. Let me take a quick look at other comments that you may have before we move on. Jack recently retired and waiting for it to be safe to move to PV. I'm hoping that you may help with info on when it might be safe to do so. Oh dear. Well, Jack, it is as safe to be here as it is safe to be anywhere else. And we get this question quite frequently, and it is an important question. And it's one that we try to answer every single time. The last time we did this, the analogy that I volunteered, and I'm going to volunteer it again very briefly, is the decision to move here is very similar to watching your friend in the deep end of the pool yelling at you, come on in, the water is great. So you look at the pool and you are, well, maybe the pool is too warm or too cold for me, or maybe the pool is too deep or too shallow for me. Maybe you look at the pool and the pool looks clean, but you cannot see the under part. Maybe you trust your friend or not, the person that is calling you to go into the pool. Maybe you're familiar with the pool. Maybe you're not familiar with the pool. Maybe you have been in the pool before. But the bottom line, Jack, is that the water is fine, and your choice to relocate here or not will have more to do with how much you trust the information that you're seeing and how much you trust the people that you're getting the information from. And ultimately, it's going to be a personal decision. And I hope and trust that when you make that decision, things will go very well for you. I really do feel that. And what I can say is that, at least here in Coffee and Headlines, there is a very caring, concerned community of locals that are eager and happy to lend a hand whenever possible. Yay! Let's see. Linda is planning her move in the spring of 2021. Good for you. And Joey is, I can chime on that. Absolutely. We're trying to encourage our LGBTQ community to travel if they can. Absolutely. Um, um, I have gotten sent a lot of awesome deals for PV for the upcoming season. That's wonderful to hear. Well, I think um, it is one of those things. Everybody is trying to find a way to entice people to trust, and that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. I mean, COVID-19 has proven to be a tricky little thing because you can be surrounded by no one, and yet if you happen to be the unfortunate soul that touched a tomato or hugged the wrong person or hopped on the bus for 2 blocks, then boom, you have it. I was just reading a headline of a wedding gone wrong in New England, in which the wedding ended up having more than 50 people, which was the allowed number of people in a small town. And then apparently people got exposed to COVID-19 at this particular wedding, and now the numbers of cases are like over 120 or something like that. So it is difficult. It's difficult to pinpoint where the virus is or where it isn't. So we need to trust ourselves, and we need to realize that there's always going to be a risk involved, and this is not going to go away in the near future. Jaime chimes in with me. I assume this has to do with that beach announcement. Dun, 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 dun. I love reading through your comments. Terry, who is in Nueva Vallarta, says the beaches are closed. The resorts can use their palapas, but people are not supposed to go to the water. That is just so selfish and unfair and complicated. I mean, who am I to say? I appreciate the fact that it's difficult to legislate things like that. Um, Mark offers a political thing that we're not going to share because it has to do with politics elsewhere. Noel wants to respect the community and the health of the region. If you are thinking of looking at it from the outside, Noel, we very much appreciate that. What's going on here, for those of you that are not here, is we are expected to wear face masks wherever we go. We are expected to keep safe distance. We are expected to still stay home unless it's absolutely necessary to go out, although we see a lot more activity around the city. But for the most part, the guidelines for Puerto Vallarta have not changed. If you go out and about and you see a lot of people not wearing face masks, then you need to make a decision for yourself. And my decision for myself has continued to be, I'm going to wear a face mask. If I'm walking down a long block and I don't see people ahead or behind me, not that I have special eyes behind my behind my head, but if I'm walking down a long block and I don't see any people, I will move my face mask down. and allow myself to better breathe. But if I see people coming towards me, I will put it back on, and I will cover my entire face out of respect. But I mean, the guidelines are very easy to follow and so easy to break, unfortunately. And hopefully people will continue to respect that. Um, let's see. Michael says it is safer in PV than in the States. I couldn't tell you, Michael. I haven't been back to the States since I moved down here, and that was 19 years ago. But from what I read, there seem to be some places in the States that are fairly safe, and then there seem to be some places in the United States that don't seem as safe. But that's what's happening around the world, really. I mean, I don't know that I would want to be caught in a mercado in Mexico City right now, just because I would feel it would feel a little scary, but that does not mean I would stop from visiting Mexico City if the opportunity presented itself. But enough about that. Let me continue with what else is coming up. Oh my goodness, we're getting into the leisurely stuff. We are at the leisurely stuff, so let me cue in the weather and see what is going to happen. Um, Oh my goodness. If I seem distracted, it's because I love it when you guys add like really insightful and great comments. It almost makes me want to enjoy Coffee and Headlines with you as opposed to being the one that's doing the narration. But that's the fate that you have when you're the guy behind the microphone. Enough of that. Let's jump into the weather. Who would like to be the special guest host for Coffee and Headlines so that I can enjoy Coffee and Headlines one of these days just as you enjoy it? I would love to watch it happening. That would be a lot of fun, actually. Anyhow, it is 27 degrees Celsius. It feels like 33. It is 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is again at 100%. We have a 30% chance of rain this morning. You better still come visit me now that you can't have my fancy widgets on your home screen, says Carrot Weather today. Today, the forecast says that it's going to be rain and humid throughout the day. And tomorrow, the same, rain and humid throughout the day, and the same thing for Sunday. So there you go. It's going to be one of those weekends in which we will be missing air conditioning spots, I suppose. And speaking of air conditioning spots, I would like to formally announce that I'm going to the movies this afternoon. Please don't shame me. I've decided it is time. I will go to the movies. I want to see Tenet in the big screen, and I am going to be very mindful of the way things are going at the movie theater, and I will be happy to report that again tomorrow. It is, as I said, it's a personal choice. I realize that some people might be flabbergasted about the fact that I'm going to the movies. Some people might be tempted in writing something shameful about that, and it's okay to feel that. And some people might say, I have been to the movies and it was fine. So again, the way we manage with the world now is a very personal business, and we need to learn to be mindful of it. I mean, I am going to keep track of the fact that I went to the movies today, and I will be very mindful of the way I feel over the next week. And if I feel like all of a sudden I feel not very well, then I will be concerned. But this is the way we are living now. And I'm going to the movies, not that you need to know, but I'm going to the movies with my dear friend Logan, who yesterday scared the shit out of me by saying that Taco Bell was launching their own wine label. And brace yourselves, that's right, Taco Bell now has its own wine available only in Canada. Pair that toasted cheesy chalupa with a glass of jalapeno noir. I shouldn't laugh. It just seems so strange. And because this is only available in Canada, I'm going to beg of my Canadian friends to bring me a bottle down, because yesterday I was having fun talking about Mexican wines with my friends. And we were laughing about it. And I said to my friends, Nina and Julian, we should find somebody to bring us a bottle from Canada so that we can film a reaction to the wine. Because, I mean, Costco buys wine from a cellar, and I've had Costco's generic wine, and it is pretty drinkable. It's a perfectly decent house wine. The current house wine that they sell right now is from Spain. It comes in these ginormous bottles, magnums. So you go to Costco and you end up getting one bottle of wine that is the equivalent of two and a half small bottles. It's a great deal. So for all I know, this Taco Bell brand is going to be a good thing to pursue. But it is really amusing. I think it is amusing. So anyhow, if anybody's coming down here, please bring jalapeno noir so that we can figure out what it is, or maybe it will become available in one of the imported stores locally. We have to have a taste test, absolutely. Moving right along, this did not even become a Lord or Lady issue, or maybe it will, but it is such a funny story gone wrong, and I must share this with you because we can, because Luna says so. Luna is sitting here very enthusiastically saying, Paco, it is time to talk about the First Lady's dress. Right, Luna? Yes? Oh my God, I scared the shit out of her today. I didn't mean to do that, Luna. She must have been sleeping very soundly. Sorry about that, baby. Oh no. I startled my girl. Anyhow, this is A Lord Gone Bad. This is, let me introduce to you Beatriz Gutierrez Müller. She is the wife of President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. And I don't introduce her actually as a first lady because she does not enjoy the role of first lady. One of the things that have characterized them is the fact that they have led very independent professional and personal lives. They love each other very much. I'm not suggesting that they are not a tight couple. It's just that she refuses to take all those roles that are expected or demanded from politics. Anyhow, this is Beatriz Gutierrez Müller, and this is the dress that she wore on Independence Day celebration. Okay, it's a light beige dress with a bottom half that looks as though it was soaked in a cup of coffee, and it is a beautiful dress. But some chef, a Mexican chef, decided to mock it on Twitter, and the chef's name is Daniel Obadia Chertorivsky, who said that she looked like an upside down flan. And I'm sure he didn't mean any serious offense, but this offended some people, and even the president's wife responded to the tweet and said, yes, it is a pleasure for me to wear it, and just be happy and let other people be happy. Viva Mexico, that's what she said. Well, because the chef ended up getting a lot of flack on social media, he apologized and then removed his tweets. But unfortunately, that didn't make people feel satisfied. People started digging up who he was. And it turns out that he is a chef that is relatives with someone that used to be the Secretary of Economic Development in Mexico City for the National Council of Science and Technology, who actually lent the chef some money. And the chef is not even doing science and technology things. So then the tweets became, well, you don't mock the president's wife. You have apologized. Now return the money that was lent to you that you shouldn't have received, even if you were a scientist. And even Beatriz Gutierrez, the president's wife, ended up getting in the conversation when all of this came to light, and all she wrote at the end was "¿Qué tal?", which in English means "What do you know?" So again, these days it seems that you got to be careful with your comments. And And Michelle says, how rude. Why do people think it's okay to comment on women's clothing or Paco shirts? You know, you can comment on my shirts as long as you're not unkind. You know, if Michael tells me that I missed a button, I appreciate that. There was a gentleman who a few weeks ago said that I looked like shit. I didn't take kindly to that because I would never say that to you unless you were my dear, 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 dear bestie and we were very drunk. So, you know, a certain level of comment is always expected and welcome. It is also a way to show affection for one another as long as we keep it measured. Judy says she wants flan, and that makes two of us. I know how to make a flan. Flan is a beautiful thing. Anyhow, let me take a quick look at your comments before I get into the best possible news that I'm going to share with you. Oh my goodness, I am so very happy. Because we've been talking about Natalia Lafourcade, and Natalia Lafourcade is a genius. And we also have been talking about how music is made. And yesterday I mentioned that there is such a thing as, for example, when you go to a classical music performance, you know, if it is recorded, everything's recorded at the same time. It's not like the violin section goes in and plays and then the wind section goes in and plays. You go listen to a concert, everything's recorded at the same time. In pop music and a lot of world music that is recorded today, or music recorded around the world, you go into the recording studio and you may record the basic tracks or the rhythm section of a song, and then they go away, and then you invite maybe additional musicians to record as they're listening to what's already recorded on headphones, and they add layers to the music until a song is finished. Before the song is finished, of course, you need to mix how much violins you want to hear at some point, how much voice you want to hear at another, and it's a complicated and fascinating process for all of us that are involved in music. So the reason I'm saying this is because what we loved about yesterday's performance of Natalia Lafourcade and Omara Portuondo is that everything was recorded at the same time, you know? But there is a podcast called Song Exploder, and Song Exploder is hosted by a man, a handsome man whose name I could not even possibly begin to pronounce. So I'm going to put it on the screen. Bam. And he says his name in every episode, and he says it so quickly that it's like, hi, my name is Blah. So I couldn't even attempt to say his name. I'm not going to do that. I will show you his face in a second. But Song Exploder by is this wonderful podcast in which he takes specific songs by specific artists and invites them onto the show to not only tell the story of the song, but break down the song track by track. Why did you use a synthesizer here? Why did you use a guitar there? So forth and so on. So Song Exploder has been around for some time, and it is something that has, well, I'm looking at their episode list, and they've had 192 episodes to date, involving all kinds of musicians. I see a couple of Mexican musicians on the list. I see Phoebe Bridgers. I see Yo-Yo Ma. I see Fleetwood Mac, etc., etc. And of course, Song Exploder has this divine episode in which they break down Hasta la Raíz, which is the song we were listening to yesterday. And I so invite you to go and look at this website and click on that button, that play button, because you will be able to hear Natalia Lafourcade explaining in English how her song came about, and then you get to hear the whole song in its entirety. And now, as if this wasn't good news enough, the reason I decided, there has to be karma in the world, because I knew that I wanted to mention this much information with you at some point. But yesterday, as I was finishing the broadcast and I was starting to build on the things that I was going to share with you today. Well, first of all, let me show you. Here is the host. He's a sweetie. Not that I know him, but he's very cute and he has this great personality. Anyhow, yesterday, I find out that Netflix has made a docu-series based on the podcast. So now, not only can you hear the podcast, but they are doing episodes in which imagine that the podcast has a video component. So here is the host, and the first episode is going to be involving what's her name? Her name, Alicia Keys. I'm sorry, and also getting involved with the artists from REM, who are going to break down "Losing My Religion," and also music from Hamilton. So I'm going to share the trailer for this brand new Netflix documentary that is going to be coming up. And I am getting goosebumps, and I am watching Noel go, yay. It's always great to see that I have fellow music enthusiasts here at Coffee and Headlines. Music is so important to me. Oh my God, the goosebumps are not stopping. As always, I have such a great time watching your reaction. Michael says he's gorgeous. That makes two of us that think that way. Let me take a quick look at your final questions before we head out, because this has been a wonderful, wonderful episode. Yes, you also Luna Jump, and I'm sure she's gonna get on my case later on. It's like, why did you scare me that way? Let me take a look at your comments. Have I heard about the new Mahahuitas Beach Club? Is it worth visiting? Jeffrey, thank you very much for that. I have not heard about any changes made at Mahahuitas, but I will actually take a look. I will look into this. As far as I know, Mahahuitas has been a hotel where you can go and stay. I know that they have in the past, and I'm talking about many years ago, in the past, they've allowed you to go and stay at the beach and hang out at the beach. Of course, the beach is public, but in the past, I have heard that if you wanted to go to the bathroom, they wouldn't even let you go in to use their facilities unless you were a guest. So if they have changed their modality and now they have like a beach club day pass kind of modality, I'll be happy to look into that, because I would probably be one of the first people that would want to go there. It's a gorgeous beach. It's a beautiful location, and I've stayed there many, many years ago, and it was beautifully maintained at the time. There is another hotel, and of course, this I knew I would have a pothead moment. There is another hotel on the way to Las Animas, Casitas Maraica. Casitas Maraica, I will do a shameless plug for, because Casitas Maraica is also a beachfront hotel, but they do have a dedicated day pass agreement or arrangement or option, in which if you get in touch with them and you want to go spend the day, they will arrange to pick you up by Panga at Boca de Tomatlan, and whatever you spend on the day pass, it gets credited back in food and beverages. Last time I did that, it's probably more expensive now, but I think last time I did it, it was like 400, 500 pesos. I don't remember. And spending the whole day there, having places to sit, having people to serve you cocktails and food, we ended up spending essentially the same amount of money that we spent on the day pass. So it was an excellent deal. But you made me curious. I'll gladly look into this and report back to you. Jaime asks, have I ever done an informative discussion on some of our local radio stations? We have a very nice variety here. 104.3 is one of my favorites. I used to be a regular guest on a couple of radio shows in town. Michael, oh my God, what was Michael's last name? Michael, who used to have his English show in Radio Universidad, invited me a couple of times to speak about music in his show. And then there was another show out of Radio Universidad where I was a monthly guest. But the only reason why I've chosen not to do that anymore is because this is now my equivalent to a radio project. So this is where I'm spending all my nourishment so that we can continue to have a wonderful community. However, occasionally I get invited to speak at local universities and this and that, and I'm always thrilled to connect with people and talk about music or other things that are fascinating. So, and I will check what 104.3 FM is doing these days. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Oh, excellent, Libby. I'm so glad to hear about your husband. That's what I went to college for. I went to Berklee College of Music, and I graduated in music production and engineering. So the whole thing that has to do with how music is made and how it's supposed to sound is a topic that is very precious to me. So Libby, let me know what your husband thinks, and if anybody else has exciting feedback to share about about the things that I share. It always helps me to know whether you are enjoying the selections or not. Boom, bing, bam, bing, bam, bam. Terry's already loading the podcast. This is awesome. Noel is on the same page as I am. I mean, when I read about this, Noel, yesterday, I was just like, this is something that I'm absolutely going to love. Um, dee, 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 dee. Let's see. Noel is living vicariously through all of us. Well, that's okay. This is what Coffee and Headlines is for. It really is. Jack is happy he found us. This is wonderful. Yes, I look forward to meeting opportunities with everyone and anyone. And I am so grateful to see all these wonderful comments that you share with me, because this means we're all going to have uh, a wonderful weekend. And with that thought in mind, I think this is a good place to end Coffee and Headlines for today. As always, you have been absolutely wonderful in sharing your comments and chiming in. That is always helpful. And it is great to see all this engagement going on. That's what makes the time that we spend together so special, at least for me. Between now and the next time we get together, as always, please stay happy, stay calm, stay patient, stay kind, and stay in touch. Don't stay hungry. Go eat something wonderful, and be true to yourselves and live your life at whatever comfort level you've chosen for yourself, based on what you know and what you trust. If you come across people that criticize your decisions, try to remember that they're afraid too, and they're probably concerned about you in a good way. And if you find people that are just shaming you, and are doing so without knowing you and in an unjustifiable way, just give him the finger. Have a great day.